I mean, this is how pathetic information is in the rural areas, yeah, in particular in the rural areas of Malaysia. So, okay, we will leave the second session for me to answer any questions that you may feel. So I will stop here for the meantime. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Put the volume down.
Thank you very much. Raja Petra kind of took almost everything I was about to say, so I'll have to like come up with new stuff. I think you know, I'm not a big supporter of politicians. Experience has told me that, you know, supporting politicians tend to give you a little disappointment in the end. But while politicians can change, causes don't change very easily. And that is why when I first saw the Deklarasi Rakyat and its appropriation into the Malaysian civil liberties movement, I was quite galvanized. I was quite inspired, actually. I thought to myself, well, this would be really good if we focused on an ideology as opposed to a personality. So, you know, I can perhaps guess what some of you may be thinking. You know, oh God, another organization, you know. All we have are organizations, you know, when are we going to have some results, etc. It's a fair question. So, you know, as I thought, like everything in life, if we wish to make a correct decision about something, I don't believe first we need to value the pros and cons. That's not the first thing. The first thing we need to ask is, why is there a need for the thing to begin with? And that's why when the MCLM was first floated to me as an idea, I asked myself, you know, how is this going to be different? And I came up with 3 answers, I thought. See, the first answer I came up with is the problem of parliamentary democracy. To me, the operative phrase in the title Malaysian Civil Liberties Movement is the phrase civil liberties. Civil liberties, you know, if you read the Deklarasi Rakyat, you'll find that it has a lot to do with personal freedoms. Personal freedoms in the modern day buzzword, modern day language, it would be democracy. So, you know, everyone claims democracy. George Bush went into Iraq saying, oh, I'm bringing you democracy. So democracy is a word which people easily use to dupe others into doing what they want. But democracy, while it literally means power of the people, it is not really power of the people. What the people do is they vote for people to represent them, as Raja Petra said, Wakil Rakyat, but in the end they became Wakil Party. They vote for people to represent them, and these people go into parliament and say exactly what the Rakyat opposes. Case in point would be London 2003. Tony Blair wanted to go into Iraq. 2 million people marched in the streets of London saying, no, we don't want this, stop the war. But guess what happened? Tony Blair went into Iraq. That's democracy for you. Yeah? So now I learned the phrase parliamentary democracy. So unlike the democracy which we heard about in school, about the ancient city-state of Athens, where everyone, which actually meant free adult males, were allowed to vote, apparently this democracy which we have is so distant, as in the parliament and the voter are so distant from one another that basically the voter is totally disempowered. Sure, I get to choose the candidate who will represent me. Some people may even disagree to that. I mean, yeah, you can choose the guy, but if he doesn't have the dosh, he doesn't have the money, he's not going to get there. That's, you know, Raja Petra pointed out earlier. But let's say, for the sake of argument, we agree that we get to choose the candidates. Then the candidates get into parliament. Can we really influence his vote after that? Not likely. he will be most likely beholden to his party. Independents don't get that many votes. And he will be unable to translate your will into an issue in parliament. So in that sense, a parliamentary democracy isn't a democracy at all. In Malay, you say you buang your undi. Hari election, kita pergi, kita buang undi. And literally, it is buang undi. Because once you buang your undi, you're not likely to see it again. Until re-election comes and the guy comes and, yeah, vote for me. I'll take care of you. There you go. That is parliamentary democracy, your first reason. The second reason has to do with the structure of political parties. The political parties are very complex structures. I mean, if you drew a hierarchical diagram of what a political party looks like, it's very complex. There are layers upon layers. Now, I'd like to tell you a little bit about my experience before. I used to be a member of UMNO. I know that's probably not going to get me invited to many Christmas parties around here. But that's the truth. About 10 years ago, I was a member of UMNO Section 12, Shah Alam. But here's the thing. I was not a supporter of Ketuanan Melayu. I mean, I've never been a supporter of Ketuanan Melayu. But I joined UMNO, along with some other people, in order for us to bring change from within. And there were many people who listened to us. There were many people who said, yes, UMNO can become more moderate. It doesn't have to tote racist lines, etc., etc. But guess what the problem was? We had to deal with the grassroots. Then we had to deal with people who were next in line for certain positions, etc. And these people, they were not ready to give up that very tasty Ketuanan Melayu type rhetoric. Why? Because such divisive rhetoric gains you the vote. So that's another thing which MCLM hopes to transcend, that party hierarchical system. We need to go way beyond such mentalities. We need to stop focusing on personalities, start focusing on ideologies. The last reason, I think, which we just need an organization like the MCLM, is the flexibility of parties towards their own candidates. Take the recent vote to impose caps on university fees. I mean, the students were just writing, so you're not likely to miss them. I mean, these guys were quite hardcore. But they felt quite betrayed by the Liberal Democrats. Because the Liberal Democrats, before they came into power, they said, we will impose caps, your university fees will not go beyond a certain amount, etc., etc. Then they formed a coalition with the Conservatives. Out the caps went. I mean, let's face it, political realities often does that, often imposes limits. But here's the thing, Lib Dem MPs were not beholden to some chief whip who said, no, you must vote. It's just like what Raja Petra said, you must vote with us. You see, it wasn't like that. In fact, a good deal of Liberal Democrat MPs were voting against their own party. They lost. That's not the point, though. The point is, their democracy was flexible enough to deal with the situation. Ours in Malaysia is not. And that is why we need MCLM. We need independent-minded candidates. Yes, they may contest on party tickets, but they don't necessarily have to stand with the party on every single issue. So there you have it. You have three reasons why we need an organization as the MCLM. These reasons are not independent of one another, but I would say most political systems in the world has that situation where an organization like the MCLM is necessary. Once you people cast your votes, there simply isn't anything you can do about it. Buang your undi is essentially like buang sampah. You're just not likely to see it again. So how is MCLM supposed to solve this dilemma? So in order for me to describe that, I literally have to tell you a grandfather story about the days of my grandfather. He used to tell me stories about his kampung, in Penang. And one of the stories was about how the kampung was run.